Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about what I think are the two most important qualities that every priest must have. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sic ut in principio et nunc et semper et saecula saeculorum. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. All right, so certainly this is one of those episodes where I'm totally open to what your opinion is. Now, you might be surprised at my answer, but number one is not going to be that they be very moral. Now, of course, we don't want priests that are doing very evil things, either sexual sins or embezzling, or they're crypto Satanists and so forth. We don't want that. But understand, I mean, we're all fallen creatures, and even the greatest men throughout time maybe had their peccadillos, and we can't judge people necessarily by their peccadillos. We have to judge them by their fruit. And the Pope, for example, if let's say we were in 1907 and Pius X was the Pope, he, as much as people respect him, was not perfect. He was a sinner as well. We were all sinners. So just kind of understand that. Like we want upright morality. We want him to be a good role model. But to me, that's not the most important thing. The two most important things are very simple. Be Orthodox. And I've told this to priests. Like I've sat down with a priest or two. And a lot of people, I think, get this idea. Like you ask somebody, like, what do you think of this priest? Or what do you think about this pastor? Like, oh, I don't like the way he walks. Or I don't like the way he gives his sermons, or I don't like how he doesn't sponsor or really embrace this church group, or I don't like how he picks this music. None of that really matters. What really matters is he a good employee of the Catholic Church? Is he Orthodox, not Greek Orthodox or Bulgarian Orthodox? Is he Orthodox in his thinking? In other words, does he agree with every teaching and dogma of the Catholic faith? Now, he might have reservations, or maybe he doesn't necessarily believe some of the things, but as long as he's outwardly from the pulpit or from any public presentation, teaching the faith, teaching the Orthodox faith, teaching the Orthodox doctrine on social issues, moral issues, on all issues of the deposit of faith, that's what really matters. That's what matters about the person. So yeah, you might have a pastor who's brusque, or the opposite, maybe one that's too effeminate. You might want one that talks about capital campaigns, and maybe you just don't like his personality, but ultimately that doesn't matter. What matters is he, for lack of a better word, parroting and puppeting the Catholic faith. Now, we've seen enough change agent priests and bishops in the past 50 years, and certainly going back before that, but certainly in more modern times, in the tumultuous times that we're at, who use their status as a pastor or as a bishop or even higher up to kind of push their agenda, which is typically going to be more left of center. And you'll even hear pastors, I mean, there's recordings of these, say, well, Jesus really didn't do the multiplication of loaves, or they have some obfuscating argument about the hypostatic union of Jesus, or something like that. You're like, what? No, that's not what we need from our pastor. Okay, you can be as boring, if the worst homilies. You can just be, personality-wise, have no personality or have too much personality. I can deal and tolerate with that. What I need is you need to be Orthodox and be completely obedient to the faith. We can't expect Catholics to be obedient to Holy Mother Church, but at the same time, our priests are not that. And we know the priests are held to a higher level. What does Jesus say? It's better to have a millstone hung around your neck and thrown into the water than cause my little ones to sin. And if you look at Paul's epistles, especially 1 Timothy, where he talks about what makes a good leader, in Titus too, there's a much higher expectation on the priesthood to kind of be a great role model. And yes, concomitant to that would be, be a good moral person. But to me, that's not as important. And number two, really quick, is going to be, your number one job is to give the sacraments. That's it. Okay, you see these priests that kind of get more involved in the financial because maybe they don't see the other things as a priority. But no, your number one job as a pastor, as the shepherd of the flock, is to administer sacraments. And so what do I mean by that? I think in part 3 of liturgical abuses that drive me crazy, I talk about short confessional times. This drives me crazy. Your job is to forgive sins. That's your job. You should have a lot of confessional time. Oh, I don't have time, or I don't care. In a week, I would say minimum, one pastor, two pastors, whatever parish it is, 3 hours minimum of open confessional, plus appointments. 3 hours minimum. You can go through bulletins and see 45 minutes a week. That is unacceptable. Your job is to administer sacraments. Daily Mass, you should have at least 2 a day. You can administer and receive the Holy Communion at least twice a day. So no excuse to only have 1 Mass. You can do 2 a day, minimum. I used to belong to a parish that was pretty Novus Ordo, but they had 4 Masses a day and a lot of confessional. Baptisms, of course, I mean, this is not an issue. You've heard about the guy who said, we baptize you in the name of the Father, Son. But baptisms, don't put a lot of impediments. Even marriage prep, I would tell you, look, and this is a separate topic, and we've talked about how Romanticism has destroyed Catholic matrimony, but I don't necessarily think we need a year of marriage prep. Please notify the parish a year ahead. So I think there needs to be a vetting for sure, but I think it's not smart to put too many impediments. Of course, if they're previously married, they have to have an annulment. Of course, there are things that we need to look at. But again, it's about the sacraments. And most importantly, it's going to be the sacrament of healing, which is confession. Have open times. I love it. When I used to live in my old town, I would stop the priest after his 7 a.m. daily Mass and say, Father, can I please have a quick confession? He'd say, son, there's no such thing as a quick confession. There's a good confession. And he would just pull me aside, literally a 1-minute confession. Boom. That says a lot about the character of the priest. That's the kind of priest. Of course, now he doesn't want to do 45 1-minute confessions because his time is valuable, but this is why you allot out time. So your number one job as a priest is to give the sacraments. That is the special, quote, power that you have that I don't have, so administer it freely. So I want to see a lot of daily Masses, at least 2, but I really want to see a lot of confession. A lot of confession. And of course, I want to see good homilies that are parroting the Orthodox teaching of the faith and admonishing and exhorting us Catholics to avoid abortion, supporting abortion, avoid contraceptive, avoid all the 5 non-negotiables on Catholic voting, and to speak fiercely from the pulpit. When it comes down to it all, though, these both go back to the first 2 things I talked about. Orthodoxy, and then administer the sacraments. To me, those are the 2 most important things. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. What else? If you don't think it's those 2, please, in all humility, post what you think it is. I'd love to hear from you. Please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with other people. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.